for Schindler. Has a chance to write his name in Huddersfield Town legend. And he takes that chance!
Right, hello and welcome to a pint-sized preview sponsored by Magic Rock Brewing on Huddersfield Town's opponents this championship season. And in this episode, we're going to take a look at Watford. And before we do that, though, let's hear from the Hornets Nest to hear how they think they'll get on this coming season.
Hi there, guys. This is Andy, Watford fan and founder of the Hornets Nest Watford channel. Difficult to know where to begin with Watford, really. Obviously, one of the three relegated sides from the Premier League last season. It's been a summer of transition at Vicarage Road as we celebrate 100 years playing at the site. We've got a new head coach, shock horror. Rob Edwards has come in from Forest Green Rovers. Had a really positive start with fans. He went to the Elton John concert at Vicarage Road. He's been seen interacting with supporters, which is hugely important for the head coach at Watford. Players-wise, we've obviously had lots of people going. At time of recording, however, our two biggest players from last season, Ismail Assar and Emmanuel Dennis, are still at the club. If rumours are to be believed, we're not expecting either of them to stay. I don't think any Watford fan were under the illusion that they were going to stay this season, but heading into the first game of the season against Sheffield United, there is a strong possibility that both of them could be starting that game, which would be incredibly exciting, but I highly doubt they'll be here come the end of the transfer window. In terms of player recruitment, it's a tricky one. We've lost our number one goalkeeper, Ben Foster, which I think most Watford fans would agree it was probably time for him to go. We've got a new keeper who's come in, Nigeria's number one, Okoye. However, Rob Edwards has confirmed that Daniel Bachmann, our sub-keeper last season, will be our number one at the start of this season. But it's difficult to know what to expect. The summer of transition, Watford are one of the favourites for promotion. I can see why. However, as a Watford fan, I don't know. I think the likes of Sheffield United and Norwich and Burnley will be very, very strong this season. We've got a very tough opening few fixtures against Sheffield United, West Brom and Burnley. So it's going to be really, really difficult. And I think a lot of Watford fans are a little bit more patient this season. Hopefully the board are a bit more patient as well. That's ideally what Watford fans want to see. We just want some fun this season because last year was just completely miserable. And hopefully we can win a game at Vicarage Road, which we haven't been able to do since November last year, which has been really, really quite depressing. So the mood is good at Watford. Rob Edwards has come in. He's seems to be really good at sort of man management. The players seem happy. There seems to be a renewed spirit and good sort of camaraderie amongst the squad. Hopefully that will continue. Ideally, we need to get a few more players in. Ideally, a new right back, having just lost Kiko Femenir to Valencia. But it's going to be a tough one. It's going to be a really tough one. I'm expecting Watford to be okay. I think we'll be there or thereabouts within the playoff mix. My personal prediction is 7th or 8th. I think we'll just miss out. And to be honest, I wouldn't be too bothered with that. You guys at Huddersfield will know the Premier League can be a miserable place when you're losing every single week. And it's just the Championship is the best league in the world. It's far more entertaining. It's a lot more fun when you're winning games. You get much better access to the club. Just all round, I feel like it's a new era for Watford, and hopefully it can be a positive one.
Okay, so Watford. So transfers-wise, the Pozzo family scouting has been going into overdrive again, and a number of players that nobody's ever heard of who probably end up being quite decent have come into the club. Vakoum Bayo has joined from Charleroi, and Ray Menage from Barcelona has also come in as well. I think to pick a key player for Watford is really difficult because Ismail Assar and Dennis, it's great fun, isn't it, just to see someone with Dennis on the back of their shirt. They apparently want away, so they haven't secured moves yet, but I'm loath to sort of paint them as a key player if they're not going to be here. So I'm going to pick on William Troost-Ekong. I think he was here last time and was quite key at the back for them. They've got a number of similar sort of centre-backs as well. So João Pedro as well up front, but I think he needs to produce a little bit more than he did last season to move on. But I think what's really interesting in Watford is they've really sort of moved away from their short-term philosophy of experienced managers like Roy Hodgson, Kiki Sanchez Flores, etc. And they've gone for a young upcoming British manager in Rob Edwards, who was the mastermind behind a lot of what Forest Green have done over the last couple of years. So he's a really interesting choice, but it feels very un-Watford-like. And for me, it's all about the patience, really, of what Watford are about and whether they're going to afford that patience to Rob Edwards or whether they're going to go crazy after a couple of months if they don't win a clutch of games and get rid of him. So I think it's going to be interesting to see how they do. And it all really hinges around the support of, Rob Edwards and what network is afforded to him. So I think Watford might just miss out on the top 6 this year. I think it might be a building year to come again next year. Brady, take us through your view on Watford.
Watford are one of those teams that are really, really tricky for me. Dennis and Sarr at the time of recording are still there. I think if they're there, they should be in the conversation. Again, it's like Watford. They're one of those teams where they went down with a bit of a whimper in the Premier League. And Rob Edwards, I think that's a huge step up from League Two to the Championship. Very un-Watford-like, but they're one of them teams for me where they could sack him, 8 games in, and then bring in a second manager and do. That's kind of what they did last time. They sacked someone halfway through the season and then just quietly were consistently just won a load of games and then finished second. And I wouldn't rule that out, but also out of all the relegated teams, I think Norwich we touched on about some concerns, but I think Watford eventually it's going to catch up with you. Maybe I'm just saying that to make myself feel better, but I do wonder if it's one of those seasons. I just don't really, from all the evidence we have of the Watford owners and how they run the club, I just don't. Patience hasn't been their thing. So I just, although they're trying it as the new thing, I don't really see it lasting. But who knows? They'll probably finish second.
Yeah, top 2 for me, because it's what they do. I think, having ranted about Norwich earlier in these bite-sized previews, I think the difference is with Watford is they do try and have a go, and they do try and recruit players. They change things up. The thing they've always got wrong is the managers, and I think this time there's a chance they've got that right. He's a very impressive bloke. He could be really, really good. So as long as they stick with him, I think they'll be fine. I think even if they don't stick with him and they sack him after 3 months, they'll just bring somebody in who'll get them up, because it's what they do. And I think they'll be top 2. I think they will lose Sarr and Dennis, but they're likely to bring in 4 players to replace them, not 2, is the thing, and hope that 2 of them work. So it's just what they do.
Yeah, perfect. Couldn't agree with everything you said, Matt. It was all perfect, exactly what you said. Brilliant. All I'd say is I don't know how many teams I've put in the playoffs now. I might be on my 9th team. I'm thinking I'm going to finish in the playoffs, but I do potentially just see them maybe not getting in that top 2 and it being a bit of a playoff campaign for them. But they're always strong in the Championship, aren't they? Good kit as well this year. I'll give them that. Is it like centenary season or something? So yeah, nice kit.
Okay, guys, that's it for Watford. So remember, we've got a couple more previews coming out, and to check on our games coming up this season and to jump in with us.